what do you look for in spring training? Like you really don't get a chance to see guys in game action very often. If a guy gets 30 at bats, if a guy, even a starting pitcher probably won't throw 20 innings in the spring. It's almost impossible to make any kind of real evaluation, singular evaluation of a particular guy during spring training. So, like, how much of your decisions have been made by the time spring training opens?
Well, if you got a good team like they got now, right? I mean, it's pretty much locked in who's going to make it, unless somebody gets hurt, and then they got to pick some kid they didn't expect. And other than that, they're just trying to, these guys come in shape more nowadays than they ever did, right?
Sure.
So it's not like you got to build into things, and you hope, like you said, you get 30 to 50, 40, 50 at bats. Some guys, it all depends. I've had guys you want to get them more at bats, but then they come up with that sore back, because they don't want to play. So it's and we got criticized a number of times because we got off to some slow starts, right? And the thing was, well, maybe we don't do enough in spring training, but that wasn't true. We did as much as anybody else did in what they've been doing every year for years. So you just got to use your common sense, and if somebody looks like they need a little more work, you do it. And but even a guy like, let's say, Kikuchi, right, the guy that I was reading, well, he's had an unbelievable spring. He maybe reinvent himself, or he's back or something. Yeah, that's great. He's hoping. I mean, he's got to be better than he was, right? But it goes back to spring training. Still spring training. You never know. The competition is different.
That's right.
He's not there. So you really never know anyway till the season starts.
Like a star, you can get some kind of sense because you do get some at bats against regular players. But if you got guys coming out of the bullpen in spring training, many times they're throwing against AA, Class A players. Do you really get a read off of that?
No, you can't, Bobby. I think all you do there is you kind of watch how their pitches look. Is it a breaking ball sharp, or are they locating the fastball? That's really all you can do. Yeah, because you're right. You late in the games, the regulars, the major league players disappear, and that's why the teams with the best records in spring training usually have the best minor league systems. Because those are the guys playing and deciding the games.
Adnan Burke was on with us yesterday, and one of the questions I asked him is, I said, "Do you think spring training is too long?" I mean, I know it's a question that comes up kind of every year, but like, what is this the ideal spring training? Do you think where we are right now, or would it be shorter? I can't imagine it'd be longer.
No, you know what, Bob, I think not only me, everybody's always felt it's too long, right? Because it starts to drag. And the whole thing behind it was you got to get your pitchers a certain number of innings, right? But you can almost throw that out the window now because these guys don't throw that long in the regular season anyway, right?
Well, of course.
Yeah, so it's almost like you can almost cut it down now, or it's about the perfect, maybe it's the perfect length. But I think if you took a vote, everybody would say it was too long, and it probably is, because, like I said, these guys are in better shape now than they ever were.
And you can sorry, John. You can get starting pitchers innings on the back fields, right?
You can,
like a BP. You don't have to have.
There's plenty of things you can do. Yeah, and teams do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, John.
That's okay. At what point in spring training do you start looking to opening day and that first series of games? When do you start thinking of and then 162?
Yeah, you know what, John? When I think when you start getting your regulars into the game, they usually don't start out when you start playing games right away, or it's like it's limited. And then once they start maybe getting 2 or 3 at bats a game, and you got all your regulars on the field, then it kind of starts to feel like the season, right? And that's usually a couple weeks into playing games. But and as a coaching staff, you know that schedule in the back of your mind. You're always thinking ahead. That's kind of what we do, And then as you get near the end, like Bob and I were just saying, you're getting sick of it being down there in Florida, and you're ready to go. So it's almost just let's get it over. Let's get this thing over and get it started, So, but then you always know that 162 game grind is on its way.
So you're watching, 50, 60, 70 players. I would imagine there are players that you have in your dugout in uniform on a daily basis, generally a daily basis, You don't really even know who they are by the end of spring, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. There's and you know you call over guys from the minor league side all the time, every day. Probably about 6 or 7 extra guys in case somebody gets hurt, and maybe you need a few extra guys. I will say this: so back when I was there, we'd bring like Bo Bichette and some of those guys would come over and play for us. Vladdy Jr. play, So you recognize those guys.
Well, yeah, but they're the stars of the future.
Right. But there is guys that that kind of sneak by. But I tell you what, I'm sure everybody does it. I don't know, but I would always make sure everybody we brought over, we got them into the game somehow. So they're not sitting there. And then you can put your eyes on somebody, and they appreciate it too, and they can say, we got into a major league spring training game, and that goes a long way. So I think that's important.
I don't think we've talked much about the rule changes that we've seen, and we've now had a whole spring of it, the larger bases, the pitch clock, etc. How do you feel about the game right now? They're playing in about 2.5 hours.
Well, that's spring training. You can, like we just said a minute ago, you can't. Spring training and regular season are totally different, right? I mean, guys, things are naturally moving faster down there, and a lot of the games you don't even have commercials, right? If they're not televised, so those are gonna be quicker anyway. But did you guys notice? Did you see at the end of the WBC when it was Ohtani facing Trout to end it all, right? Every pitch in between was about 30 seconds long, So that kind of.
But they didn't have a clock going, John.
Yeah, well, I know, but say they had. I mean, I think it was perfect. The drama, if everybody thought it was like it wasn't a real major league game. It was like the greatest at bat in history or something, But I mean, people were tuned into it in the drama of it. Everybody wanted to see what the outcome, and it took a little longer. I don't think anybody minded that, right? So I think when you speed things up, it may present a problem late in the game. I'd almost maybe go 7th, 8th, and 9th, or even just 8th and 9th. Throw the pitch clock out, because late inning guys, when the game's on the line, every pitch matters. Things are a little bit different. Things slow down. That's just the way it is.
You don't think baseball was too slow? You don't think it needed to be speeded up?
Oh yeah, I like it faster, but you know what? Is it really a way to do it? People love the slugfest, the 10-9 games, right? Because there's no offense, right? And they'll sit there 4.5 hours and watch that and have no problem at all. Baseball is just a boring game sometimes. And if it's if it's a pitcher's duel, people love. They either love slugfest or they love the pitching duel, right? If it's a pitching duel, that game's going fast because nobody's getting on base.
I know.
But slugfest is a long one, but people like that because there's action. It's just baseball could be it's almost like soccer sometimes. It scores 1-0. Come on.
Yeah, I get it.
But the whole concept, it feels like they're trying to bring small ball back. And base stealing and getting away from the just the 3-run home run. Right. Do you like that part of the game, or would you rather have just long balls everywhere and get back into the game quickly?
No, but so you want to bring those things back? So you shorten the bases a little bit or make bigger bases? I saw an article by Ricky Henderson the other day, and he said, well, if that's the case, maybe they ought to add like 50 bases a season to my career record, or that's what I was told, with shorter bases or bigger bags or whatever, shorter base pass. So, and then there's a point there. I don't know if by altering doing those things, is it really going to make a difference in whether teams run or not more? I think it's just the philosophy of the team or the kind of players they sign or draft. Right? If you can't run, you can't run.
Exactly.
So I think we're kind of maybe going about it the wrong way. We created this monster of home runs, and nobody cares. Everybody strikes out, right? Okay, well, that's just the way it is. Maybe teams switch once they start switching their philosophy. Maybe the game will go back to. It all depends on what you like, I guess.